हाय गुड इवनिंग टू ऑल ऑफ यू। आई होप आप सबकी होली काफ़ी एंजॉयबल रही, लेकिन अब हमें पढ़ाई की तरफ वापस शिफ्ट करना स्टार्ट करना चाहिए। एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंटली स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू एक्सपेंड आवर होराइजन। पहले हमारा फोकस सिर्फ एक्सप्लेन सेक्शन पे था, नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू फोकस ऑन ऑल दोस एडिटोरियल व्हिच आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फ्रॉम एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू। ठीक है, तो विदाउट एनी फर्दर डिले लेट अस स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट टॉपिक। द फर्स्ट टॉपिक दैट वी हैव इट इज विद रिस्पेक्ट टू भूटान। As all of us understand, Bhutan is very crucial for all of us, right? It's a kingdom which is having very special relationship with India, and in fact, with respect to military, it is completely dependent upon us, right? So let us try to understand. PM Modi he recently visited this state, and eventually we have to understand why this is becoming even more strategic for us in the specific phase of Chinese assertiveness. Let us try to understand. So, PM Narendra Modi, his visit to Bhutan underlines the special importance that we give to this Himalayan kingdom for India's foreign policy. The urgency with respect to this has been increased by economic rise of China as well as its growing political assertiveness. Please remember these keywords: economic rise and political assertiveness. Okay. So what has happened? China's economy has increased to more than 4 times India's capacity. Please try to understand. अगर हम $3 trillion के आसपास हैं, तो China $12 trillion से ऊपर है, तो more than 4 times, right? So Beijing's capacity to deploy financial resources in South Asia is now becoming very larger, and that's why India has to be very aware about this specific situation. Even when China's economy was weaker, at that time also, it was always using economic cooperation in a very strategic manner. And as world's second largest economy now after USA, तो China अभी क्या कर रहा है? It is now trying to increase its footprint in South Asia. If you see with respect to Maldives, you see with respect to Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all these countries are one way or the other, they're directly having good economic cooperation with China. India need to be very aware about this. So Chinese wealth has generated a variety of tools to enhance its political and diplomatic clout in other nations, right? If we see, so what these people have eventually done, their influence and operation are being done to capture critical elements of the elites and set favorable narrative, which have been visible all around the world. So this is something that they're doing on a regular basis. Okay, and with respect to Bhutan, if we see, Bhutan is something which is very important for us. For what purpose? Why? The most important thing is India and its northeast provinces, Nepal and Tibet converge around the sensitive Siliguri corridor. Siliguri corridor, also known as Chicken Neck Corridor. This is the corridor which links mainland India with the northeast state. And if this is going to be captured, in the case of any of the war, it's going to become very difficult for India to have a direct relationship with the northeastern states, right? So, इसको protect करना बहुत ज़्यादा important है. And China is not only having the land disputes with India, it is also having the land dispute with Bhutan also. It is trying to get the more strategic place towards the western sector and giving them more or less strategic place in the northern sector of Bhutan. और उनको वहाँ पे देने के लिए ready हो गए. So what China is doing, China controlled Tibet's Chumbi Valley on the western flank of Bhutan is positioned like a dagger down the throat of narrow Siliguri corridor, then that connects India's mainland with its northeast provinces. That is something which I have just talked about. For mapping purpose, Chumbi Valley को एक बार अच्छे से मैप कर लेना. Prelims या mains में तो क्या ही आएगा, prelims में आने के इसके बहुत सारे chances हैं. China's growing activity has led to serious military tension between India and Beijing in Bhutan's disputed Doklam Plateau. This Doklam Plateau, it is a bit contested between Bhutan and China. इसको आप ध्यान रखेंगे, जैसे हमें पता ना Saichen है, अरुणाचल प्रदेश है. That is with respect to India, the western and the eastern sectors, McMahon Line and the Johnson Line. But here, what is disputed is the Doklam Plateau between these two countries. And to be sure, Bhutan is India's most steadfast. ना अगर हम सारे countries में देखें with respect to SAARC, this is the most steadfast, most closest friend that we have. It has no formal diplomatic relation with China. That is something which you need to understand. And yet Beijing is trying to increase its pressure on Thimphu which is the capital, and to go for a favorable border settlement and demanding a bilateral relationship equal to that of Delhi. So that's why even our external affairs minister Subramanyam Jaishankar, he also said that India has long neglected the nature of Chinese growing South Asian challenge in the name of building good relationship with Beijing. And we are trying to resolve our own dispute. However, China is not in favor of resolving disputes with India so that it can time and again use those in order to decrease India's footprint with respect to international diplomacy. Delhi is now realistic enough to recognize it can't sustain its historic primacy over South Asia by mere feet and also it need to contain China in this specific area. That's why Delhi's focus now is on increasing our deeper cooperation with its neighbors, economic, treating them as sovereign equals, and developing mutual beneficial security cooperation. It is very, very important. Like Nepal also time and again comes out with various accusation that you're treating us like a small brother, and आप खुद एक big brother वाली mentality में रहते हो, तो that affects their sovereignty to some extent. That's why we should try our level best that we should have equal relationship with all these neighbors. In this visit, okay, there was a joint statement. You can remember this. अगर mains में कोई question आता है with respect to SAARC, this could be a very good statement. Okay, with respect to Bhutan, our policy, Bharat for Bhutan and Bhutan for Bharat is an abiding reality of the region. So you can remember this statement. It's a very good statement. Delhi and Thimphu backed up this claim with strong commitment to greater consultation. Okay, and we are trying to increase our connectivity, both physical as well as digital. Although each of India's relation with neighbor has a unique complexity, Bhutan could provide a very productive template for the rejuvenation of India's rocket relationship with other neighbors. That is something which you need to understand. Bilateral relationship पे Bhutan पे question आना थोड़ा सा difficult है, but overall SAARC पे जब भी question आता है तो you can always mention about our relationship with Bhutan, what are the important things, है ना, and how it is helping us in eventually countering Chinese assertiveness, at least in the eastern sector. So please try to remember our two terms from here. Chumbi Valley हो गया, आपका Doklam Plateau हो गया, इन सब की आप mapping कर लेंगे. Then the next article is more or less related to one of the article which we discussed in the experience section. We discussed about rising inequality in India. Okay, so this report which came from World Inequality Lab, it's a Paris-based research organization, has come out with estimate that economic inequality has skyrocketed since the early 2000s. उन्होंने एक specific चार्ट बना के दिया था, ठीक है, उसको डिस्कस करेंगे. That report is titled The Rise of the Billionaire Raj. Right, the billionaire Raj, why? Because right now we have more than 150 billionaires in India, and that's why it is becoming a billionaire Raj, from British Raj to billionaire Raj. It ends with a warning. It is unclear how long such inequality levels can sustain without major social and political upheaval. ये सब तो आप सब लोग जानते हैं ना, poverty is the mother of all revolutions, and if income inequality or the wealth inequality is going to increase to humongous levels, naturally it affects our society as well as economy. So that is something which we need to understand. So if we see its overall report, it goes back to 1922 for income inequality and 1961 for wealth inequality. इन्होंने यहाँ से data लेना start किया है, यहाँ से start हुआ, right? And now what they say that with respect to income inequality, top 1% in 2022-23 have around 22.6% of the overall income. Right? And this is one of the highest ever, even during the interwar colonial period, one of the highest. And with respect to wealth inequality, it has reached 40%. That is humongous. 1% are having 40% of the overall wealth. Also, its height level since the start of the data series, it has increased. So now, the important thing for us is how to reduce inequality with respect to income as well as wealth. इसलिए उन्होंने, as we have already discussed, एक super tax का बात किया है. ये super tax should be there on Indian billionaires as well as multi-millionaires. Restructuring a tax schedule to include both income and wealth, which might sound reasonable, but it's something which is a big और difficult actually इसको लगाना. किस तरीके से इसको यूटिलाइज करेंगे, that is something is still up in the air. India used to have a wealth tax, but उसको भी abolish कर दिया था because कुछ ज़्यादा उसके अंदर collection था नहीं. In fact, tax expenditure, okay, for keeping the tax was higher than the collection which was happening under that tax. And अब इसके ऊपर एक और जो counter views that comes from the report of Surjit Bhalla and Karan Bhasin. What they say that on the basis of consumption expenditure survey, okay, India has registered an unprecedented decline both in urban and rural inequality in last 10 years. Clearly, the issue of income inequality requires a deeper inquiry and a broader debate. So what we're trying to understand, data का जो interpretation है वो बहुत ज़्यादा vary करता रहता है, and that's why it's always important to have 2-3 viewpoints. सिर्फ एक report के basis पे final decision नहीं लेना चाहिए. And that is something which you can think with respect to conclusion. But in general, we do know where we have inequality. If it is not record, कितना exactly है, probably उसको estimate लगाने मुश्किल होगा. But billionaire राष्ट्र एक level का इंडिया में आ ही चुका है. And it's not a new term. It is something which is going on for many years. Now, one of the most important topic, okay, of today's is about WTO. So the article is WTO's existential crisis. Trade multilateralism is beset with problems creating greater global uncertainty. So what has happened when we see the downfall of USSR in 1991? Eventually, it increased the pace of this globalization, as well as with it, we see the beginning of multilateralism on a new paradigm shift was seen at that time. Now what is happening now, we are not able to make any headway. कोई ज़्यादा इसमें ज़्यादा रिफॉर्म नहीं कर पा रहे हैं स्ट्रक्चर में. उसके पीछे कुछ स्पेसिफिक रीजंस है. Let us try to understand. And WTO is one topic. UPSC is asking roughly prelims और mains दोनों में इसका क्वेश्चन आता है. And please इसको अच्छे से समझिए. So recently the 13th biennial ministerial meeting of WTO has ended, and that too without any significant accomplishment. So what has happened so far? अभी 13 मीटिंग हुई है. जो WTO की मीटिंग होती है हर 2 साल में एक बार होती है. And this year this was in Abu Dhabi in UAE. Okay, so the meeting has ended. Now the WTO member countries could not agree on how to solve several issues. Okay, the most important issue from Indian point of view, it is public stockholding program. अगर public stockholding program के बारे में देखें, this is about whether countries have the right to purchase, stockpile and distribute food to its citizens in the need, also known as public stockholding program. While this is sovereign right of the countries, the WTO rules throw a spanner in the works. So what is this about? One of the main objective, देखो WTO की जो subsidies है उसका एक structure है, like आप किस तरीके की subsidies कर सकते हो. जैसे income support वाली subsidies allowed है. However, जो distort करती है prices को वो आपकी allowed नहीं है. So let us see. From the central objective of WTO is to cut trade distorting domestic subsidies. There are limits to the subsidies a country can provide, which is as MSP. Okay, which such as MSP. The WTO rules provide that this price support will be assessed using an average price of the base years of 1986 to 88. तो जो भी subsidies calculate होती है वो इसके basis पे होती है. So roughly for developed countries it was around 5% of the total production, and for developing countries like India it was around 10%. But India की economy का size ही इतना कम था उस time पे. A particular sector also, overall economy also. That's why the total subsidy आती है वो काफी कम आती है. That's why time and again India is asking या तो इस base year को आगे करो, because base year का बहुत ज़्यादा impact होता है with respect to subsidy, with respect to the overall size of the subsidy in fact. So it thus becomes challenging for a country like India to pursue public stock holding programs using the instrumentality of MSP. Why? Because हम already इसको breach कर चुके हैं. This issue is significant because right now, as all of us know, MSP पे legal guarantee की demand चल रही है from the farmer side. Right. While the countries agreed upon a peace clause, 2013 में peace clause sign किया गया था, and as per this was considered that for the जब तक permanent solution नहीं आता, this can continue, which provides some legal immunity. However, it is insufficient and conspicuous of India and has been negotiating hard for a permanent solution. But the recent ministerial meet came as a cropper on this. It seems that US and other agriculture exporting nation, also known as Keynes Group. So please, for prelims, remember what is Keynes Group, have again succeeded in blocking any meaningful movement on this issue. Right? India has must continue to strive for this, but it is also have to think of new ways to support farmer. जैसे कि अभी जो स्कीम चल रही है ना, PM किसान जो स्कीम है, PM किसान सम्मान निधि, under which a specific amount around 6,000 rupees has been given to the farmers on a yearly basis. So वैसे these kinds of schemes, they are more compatible. So income supplement scheme ज़्यादा आप support को use कर सकते हो with respect to WTO. तो उसकी तरफ इंडिया को या तो switch करना पड़ेगा या public stock holding program के ऊपर एक final solution लेके आना पड़ेगा. The next important theme is with respect to the subsidies given by the industrialized world. Now this is with respect to them, है ना, जब उनके ऊपर बात आती है तो the industrial shipping fleet indulging in overcapacity and overfishing. It is known as OCOF, overcapacity and overfishing. This has led to substantial depletion of fishing stock, imposing grave threat to the marine environment. India has been demanding binding rules to rein in these subsidies with a transition period for developing countries to implement these rules. But once again, the rich countries have ensured that there's going to be no rules will be adopted for this. Next, the most important part, it is about dispute settlement mechanism, DSM. How the disputes are going to be resolved with respect to WTO. Now, it was initially hailed as a feather in the WTO's cap, and however, this DSM has been paralyzed since 2019 as US is blocking the appointment of the members of appellate body, which is one of the tier of this DSM, the dispute settlement mechanism. While ऑल द मेंबर्स हैव रीइटरेटेड कि 2024 के एंड तक फिर से इसको रिजॉल्व कर लेंगे, बट ऐसा लग नहीं रहा है बिकॉज यूएसए हैज बीन ब्लॉकिंग इट सिंस 2019. And the most significant proof of this, how the developed country has led informal and non-transparent negotiation on dispute settlement last year. And this is something which is very problematic for the developing countries. Now the important thing is, if we see the overall scenario, कुछ issues developing countries के हैं, कुछ issues जो हैं वो developed countries की तरफ से. Now what is important is that we have to understand the trend. तो इसको इन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से author ने समझाया है that India, one of those demanding the restoration of the body, must understand the US game plan. So US इस time पे it was becoming a lone superpower. So it was trying to show that I am a very good country. Eventually liberalization पे focus करते हैं, international rules follow करेंगे हर कोई etc etc. But now it is going for a specific tactic which is known as de-judicialization of trade multilateralism. It does not want any kind of multilateralism in trade, a kind of tax. It want कि भाई bilateral level पे उसको खत्म करो. WTO was created when the neoliberal consensus emerged after the Cold War and the collapse of communism. This period saw not just the legalization of international relations, but with the coming of these rules, but also its judicialization. कि आप उसके लिए sue भी कर सकते हो एक दूसरी country को. However, de-judicialization, this coin has been found by Daniel Abibi and Tom Ginsburg. And they define it the reverse phenomena where countries weaken international courts to take back decision-making power. तो यही चल रहा है actually आज के डेट में. Whenever we say deglobalization is going on, तो उसका जो सबसे बड़ा trend है that is de-judicialization, because they're not allowing these international bodies to have any kind of substantial power. This is what the US seems to be doing with the WTO's dispute settlement. It has wrested control from this appellate body to unilaterally respond to geo-economic challenges that are rising China present. तो वो अपने level पे कर रहा है. And this has become an existential crisis. Why? Neither it is able to solve the issue with respect to developing countries, and on the other hand, the developed countries are not allowing the issues to be resolved, which are going to have any kind of significant impact, either on their fisheries, either on their legal standing on the international level. इस वजह से WTO आज की डेट में एक डिफंक्ट बॉडी की तरह चल रहा है. हर 2 साल में एक बार मीटिंग करके चले जाओगे, उससे होगा क्या? कुछ इश्यू तो रिजॉल्व करोगे, ठीक है? So this is an important topic. बाकी जो कुछ टॉपिक्स है, they are not that much important, right? Let us now see the explained section. Even in the explained section, the topics which have come are not that much exam specific, right? So if we see the first topic is with respect to wholly becoming warmer than before. So all of us know climate change has become a reality. Our objective is to stop it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. However, जो higher side में 2 degree Celsius है, वहाँ तक का हम expectation लेके आज की डेट में चल रहे हैं, ठीक है? So what the article talks about that both March and April have been becoming warmer across India, increasing the chances of uncomfortable and possibly dangerous hot conditions, right? This is something which is happening, and many areas of India, they are even going to cross 40 degrees Celsius. तो उन्होंने एक मैप बना के दिया, probability कितना हो गया है of 40 degree. The probability was very less, okay? It was hardly 0 to 5% in majority of the India, except few states like Bihar, Maharashtra, छत्तीसगढ़. वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा 5 से 10% के बीच में था. पर आज की डेट में अगर आप देखोगे तो आप देखोगे राजस्थान, गुजरात, ठीक है, तेलंगाना, ये सब भी इसके अंदर एडिशन में आ चुका है. So that is why the probability it is on the higher side right now. Now the study talks about that roughly Jammu and Kashmir seen greatest increase in average temperature of around 2.8 degrees Celsius. Okay, Mizoram is reporting greatest increase of around 1.9 degrees Celsius since 1970. तो इस तरीके से उन्होंने रिसर्च किया. एज सच एग्जाम के लिए इतना रेलिवेंट नहीं है, बट वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. अब स्टेट स्पेसिफिक वैसे भी डेटा याद कर नहीं पाओगे, इंडिया स्पेसिफिक कर लो तो ज़्यादा अच्छा है, ठीक है? जैसे कि इसमें द प्राइमरी रीजन इट इज़ ग्लोबल वार्मिंग. इट इज़ हैपनिंग बिकॉज अनप्रेसिडेंटेड लेवल ऑफ हीट ट्रैपिंग ऑफ दीज ग्रीन हाउस गैसेज has been going on since the Industrial Revolution, and already the world's temperature has increased by 1.1 degrees since 1850 to 1900 period, and this is bound to increase if the corrective steps are not taken. Okay, so इतना important article नहीं है, and you can choose to even skip it. सिर्फ 1-2 point चाहो तो याद कर सकते हो. Then the next topic, it is with respect to Pakistan basmati seed piracy. So बासमती सीड्स दे आर इन वेरी हाई डिमांड, राइट? इंडिया से बहुत ज़्यादा एक्सपोर्ट भी होता है इसका, भी देखेंगे कितना इसका क्वांटम है. But agriculture exports are very very important for India. Why? Because they help us in reducing our trade deficit. But अभी क्या हो रहा है कि इंडिया के ये वाले जो सीड्स हैं दे आर इंक्रीजिंगली गोइंग टू पाकिस्तान, है ना, और ये अपना इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट ने जितनी वैरायटीज बनाई हैं वो वहाँ पे जा रहा है. तो दिस आर समथिंग विच आर गोइंग टू अफेक्ट इंडियाज एक्सपोर्ट इन द लॉन्ग रन. शॉर्ट टर्म में तो ज़्यादा दिक्कत नहीं है, बट लॉन्ग टर्म में बहुत ज़्यादा दिक्कत है. लेट अस सी हाउ. The scientists at Indian Agriculture Research Institute and exporters have flagged the illegal cultivation of the improved basmati rice variety in Pakistan. The issue came to the fore after the emergence of promotional YouTube video featuring recently released IRI variety by Pakistan seed firm in places such as Multan, Bahawalnagar as well as Hafizabad. It means it is getting used. अगर हम बात करें इंडिया की, our overall merchandise export, they have dipped by 5% from $372 billion in April-Jan 2022-23 to around 353.6 billion in the current year, April 2023 to Jan 2024. And agriculture produce export have eventually by 9%, okay, from 43 billion to around 40 billion, roughly estimated. But this period saw basmati export jump by 20% in dollar value and 12% in quantity term. Now, what is important for us is that the basmati shipments of almost 50 lakh tons are valued at $5.5 billion, है ना, तो इतना एक्सपोर्ट होता है यहाँ से. And this is going to be an all-time high. However, अगर हम बात करें कल्टीवेशन की, तो सबसे ज़्यादा जो बासमती राइस की कल्टीवेशन है वो कौन सी स्टेट्स में रहती है? प्लीज़ रिमेंबर द नेम्स. नंबर 1 इज पंजाब, ओके. सेकंड वी हैव इज हरियाणा. थर्ड अगेन इट इज उत्तर प्रदेश, ओके. एंड देन इवेंचुअली वी हैव जम्मू कश्मीर एज वेल एज उत्तराखंड. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे बासमती की काफ़ी ज़्यादा कल्टीवेशन होती है. Alright, now what is the threat from the Pakistan? So what is happening eventually? The New Delhi-based institute, है ना, IRI has said varieties cover nearly 89% of India's estimated 2.1 million hectares under the aromatic cereal crops in 2023 season. But this is going to get affected eventually if it is cultivated by Pakistan. Alright, तो इन्होंने काफ़ी सारी वेराइटीज़ के बारे में बताया है. ये वेराइटीज़ के बारे में इतना सब कुछ जानने की जरूरत नहीं है, आप बस कोड वर्ड्स याद कर लीजिए, लाइक PB1121, PB171 and PB185 refers to which of the following. तो वैसा कोई क्वेश्चन आ सकता है प्रीलिम्स पे. मेंस में एज सच इससे डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन बनना इतना पॉसिबल नहीं है. राइट, सो अब चलते हैं एनालिसिस की तरफ, है ना. अननेसेसरी डेटा के अंदर घुसने की जरूरत नहीं है. व्हाई इज पाकिस्तान डूइंग सो? जो रीजन ये है, काइंडली सी दैट this variety, the varieties have released in 1986 have helped Pakistan get 60 to 70% share in EU market, EU UK market for the brown unpolished basmati rice. Moreover, while India is a clear market leader in West Asia, this has largely to do with the consumer preferences. Therefore, the paraboiled basmati, this rice where paddy is soaked in water and partially boiled in the husk before milling, has harder grains and is less susceptible to breakage on cooking. But with the Pakistan mills to adopting paraboiling technology, its farmer planting superior crops, right, would increase challenges. And a weak Pakistan currency, है ना, वहाँ पे $278 चल रहा है, इंडिया में around 83. They also give them a competitive advantage. So इंडिया क्या कर सकता है? आप देखिए, इन्होंने कुछ एक्ट्स की बात करी है, you should know about them, है ना. प्रीलिम्स के लिए important है, और even with respect to our intellectual property rights. So protection of plants, variety and farmer rights act 2001. It says that the IARI bred improvement varieties are registered under this act, which allow only Indian farmer to sow, save, resow, exchange and share the seed grain produced from them. However, they are not allowed to sell them under their own brands. आप अपनी brand नहीं बना सकते. However, you can just sow them, save them, resow them, even exchange or share the seeds and produce from them. Moreover, they are notified under the Seeds Act. तो हमारे को Seeds Act 1996 आया था, which allows their cultivation only in the official demarcated geographical indication areas of basmati, जो कि already mark कर चुके हैं हम 7 states में: पंजाब, हरियाणा, हिमाचल, दिल्ली, उत्तराखंड, यूपी and 2 districts of Jammu and Kashmir. So where can we go? We can raise at the bilateral level, जो कि कभी सुनेंगे नहीं, and we can also raise a complaint at the level of WTO, which उनका एक ट्रिप्स करके एक ट्रीटी है, ठीक है, ट्रेड रिलेटेड इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स, राइट, ट्रिप्स करके, ट्रिप्स. तो उसके अंडर हम फाइल कर सकते हैं. बट सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम क्या है? WTO का भी हमने बात की, WTO itself is not becoming functional. Dispute resolution कहाँ कर पा रही है, because उसके appellate body appoint नहीं कर रहा US से. It is more than 4 years. That is something which we need to understand. If we want such kind of disputes to be resolved, we need a functional trade body, and WTO so far hasn't failed to do so. For this topic also I would say कि बहुत ज़्यादा important नहीं, थोड़ा डेटा याद कर सकते हो कि इंडिया का ट्रेड वगैरह का, मर्चेंडाइज ट्रेड का ओवरऑल क्वांटम क्या है, एग्रीकल्चर एक्सपोर्ट का क्वांटम क्या है, बासमती राइस का उसके अंदर कितना स्पेसिफिक रोल है, 2 एक्ट्स जो हमने बात किया, ठीक है. सो प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ प्लांट वेराइटीज एंड फार्मर राइट्स एक्ट 2001 एंड द सीड्स एक्ट ऑफ 1996. एटलीस्ट रिमेंबर देम एंड द इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेट्स which are having geographical indication with respect to the cultivation of basmati rices. Now, अभी एक specific study काफी news में आई है, that is with respect to India's falling fertility rate. Okay, so fertility rate, it is with respect to the number of children that a woman can have. Right, so let us see TFR, total fertility rate, or the average number of children born per woman will fall to 1.29 by 2050, and this report is given by the Lancet. Okay. And what do they say that if you want replacement level, जैसे अभी इंडिया की पॉपुलेशन अगर 1.4 बिलियन के आसपास है, तो अगर हमें इतना ही रखना है, राइट, सो व्हाट डू वी रिक्वायर एटलीस्ट 2.1 हमारा ओवर टोटल फर्टिलिटी रेट. सो इन जनरल कम से कम 2 बच्चा तो होना ही चाहिए. However, what are we seeing that India will see a rapidly depleting working age population by 2050. Why? Because if the TFR is going to on the less side, so eventually number of people who are going to joining the workforce, it is going to reduce. So उन्होंने एक पूरा फोकस दिया है, मतलब इसको आप याद कर सकते हो और बना सकते हो. The TFR it was used to be around 6.18 है ना, तो 6.2 था 1950 में. From 6.2 it got to 4.6 in 1980. Then in 2021 it was 1.9 and it is going to further reduce to 1.3 by 2050. तो ऐसे आप एक चार्ट बना सकते हो एग्जाम के लिए, ठीक है, with their respective years, and this can fetch you extra marks. So the reason behind the falling fertility rates, all of us know what are the major reasons. Like we see the rise of female literacy, women workforce participation is going to be on the increase. In the urban areas, some people are choosing not to have children at all, right? There is also an economic dimension. Those who know that he didn't at this point of time, because previously we were mostly indulging in agriculture, so more number of hands were required, but today it is not so. तो वो भी एक इंसेंटिव कम होगा कि कोई ऐसा इनकम इंक्रीज नहीं होती by having more number of children, right? But the consequence of fertility decline will lead to increase in the elderly population, which will increase sharply. So एक specific suggestion दिया गया है इस वाले आर्टिकल में कि that we can follow the model of Scandinavian countries like Sweden, Denmark. क्यों? Because they provide affordable healthcare, investing in healthcare and taking in large scale male engagement and initiative to build gender equity. अगर हम gender equity बनाएंगे तो फ्यूचर में जाके काफ़ी अच्छा रहेगा for India as a nation. An economic policy that stimulate growth and job creation, including social security, pension reform, etc. This can mitigate the declining fertility rate in the future. Otherwise, we may have a problem like China. Okay. If we see worldwide, so by 2050, around 155 countries, they're going to have less than the replacement level of fertility, and by 2100, okay, around 97 countries are going to reach that level. So ये आप डेटा कुछ याद कर सकते हो, फैमिली पॉपुलेशन वाले टॉपिक में काम आ जाएगा. Now, so this will be the last topic for today. We will discuss about the water crisis in Karnataka. Already इस टॉपिक पे हम काफी बात कर चुके हैं. That there was subpar monsoon season last year, and eventually the aquifer system of the South India, it is very different from North India. That's why it is not able to hold water for very long. And because of these two factors, we are having a water crisis, particularly in Karnataka as well as Telangana. So let us see very quickly कि specific किस चीज के ऊपर बात कर रहे हैं. So while the full force of summer is yet to become evident, right? Because अभी तो हम सिर्फ मार्च तक ही पहुंचे हैं. Karnataka has been battling a severe water shortage for the last month, and that has affected eventually the overall, you can say, human life in the area. Then as a result of this, the municipal corporation has led these water ATMs which are selling water at a very reasonable price, right? At this point of time, restrictions have been put on IPL, water usage, etc. This has also affected fire and safety department, because now they have to fetch water from far off places which are not very close to Bangalore, the main areas, right? Weak monsoon season. Okay, this was the major reason which was responsible for this. राइट, दे हैव गिवन डेटा अबाउट दिस. बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है ये एग्जाम के लिए, मतलब इस तरीके से इतने डेटा का कोई करेंगे क्या. ओके, however, Karnataka is not the only state with the low storage levels in its reservoirs. The situation is worse in some other South Indian states, right? So if we see data of CWC, shows 30 out of 42 major reservoirs in the region, storage has dipped below 40% of the total capacity, except for one state, Kerala. Below normal water stocks prevail in all other southern states, including Andhra Pradesh -68%, Tamil Nadu -27%, Karnataka -20%, and Telangana -10%. And if we see at the national level, 150 major reservoirs, okay, they are also have 38% of the total capacity, which is also on the lower side, which shows that the water जो है, it is becoming a very scarce commodity in today's times. Alright, so coming close to water pause region in Maharashtra, Ujjaini, one of state's largest reservoir has gone dry. So ऐसे questions prelims में काफी आए हैं. किस स्टेट में वन ऑफ द मेजर जो उनका रिजर्वोयर्स हैज गॉन ड्राई, इट कुड बी विद रिस्पेक्ट टू महाराष्ट्र. देन दिस रिपोर्ट सजेस्ट दैट वाटर रिजर्व्स इन नॉर्थ ईस्ट एंड सम वेस्टर्न इंडियन स्टेट वर इक्विवेलेंट टू मार्च 2023, लास्ट ईयर की तरह और बेटर है. हाउएवर सम ऑफ द रीजन विद एप्रिशिएबल रिजर्व कहाँ है? हिमाचल प्रदेश, झारखंड, उड़ीसा, वेस्ट बंगाल, त्रिपुरा, असम, गुजरात, उत्तराखंड एंड मध्य प्रदेश. तो यहाँ पे appreciable reserves हैं in comparison to last year. So all the states are not having the similar kind of situation today. So please इस series को अच्छे से follow करिए. I hope all of you who are following this are going to understand things in a very better manner. और ऐसे अगर करते रहोगे तो finally बहुत अच्छा result आएगा prelims में भी as well as mains. Thank you so much for watching.